Hi, Rachel. How was your day today?
It was great, thank you, Cindy. We had a fun creative day making monsters today.
Great. Is that part of a theme that you're doing right now in the classroom?
Yeah, we're kind of at the end of our emotional theme, and because we're so close to Halloween, I always do fear around Halloween, so we're talking about being scared and using monsters for that, but we just did it in a silly way.
The kids are enjoying it.
They are.
Great. Okay, so today I provided an agenda, which puts what we're going to be discussing in a rather logical order. And I want us to keep in mind the memletics that both of us did, and how we know about our learning styles and communication with each other, and what I can do to support you with knowing what your learning styles are. And so one of the reasons why I did the agenda was not just to have the visual, but just that logical ordering. I also provided with the agenda the visual, the Pyramid Plus Coach Circuit visual, so that you can see how the circuit is made up of 6 activities, and the first activity, which we're doing today, is the professional development plan.
Okay.
And then when we go through the other 5 activities, by the end of today, as you'll see on the schedule here, we will go ahead and set dates and times of those coaching visits.
All right. Sounds good.
So what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit more about the memletics. I know we had some discussion about it, and I found it interesting, and it's nice to know that if there are areas that we're not as strong in, that there are things that we can do to strengthen those areas. And like for myself, it's strengthening the logical side of me. Did you have any areas that you thought about when you did the memletics that you thought that you wanted to maybe figure out ways to strengthen that area?
I was just surprised that I ended up being really low in visual, because I thought I was going to be really high in that, and that surprised me. So I was surprised at how high I ended up scoring in logic and how low I ended up scoring in visual.
Okay.
So that was just interesting to me. So I guess for me, I'm just kind of interested to see how it plays out, both in working with you, to see how our strategies kind of work with each other, and be able to say, oh, I can kind of see where my logic's coming in, or those kinds of things, and then be able to translate that to my own teaching practices.
And so knowing that about you, that you do like to have some visuals and with your when you're learning new things, that was another reason why I wanted to have these visuals today and our agenda. And we're both strong in the oral areas. I noticed that that's something we have in common. We're both high in our oral area. You are strong in verbal and in solitary. And then mine was, the other 2 were physical and social. And you also shared that you expected the logical to be even higher than the memletics showed. And so, I want to respect that too. And if there's any way I can support you in those areas, I would definitely do that. So how are you feeling that it's working so far between the 2 of us, communicating, as we plan through either emails or through phone calls, text messages?
I've appreciated that you've both been sending some texts and having things on email, and so if I miss it one place, I pick it up the next. And it's easy for me to get that information then at the end of the day or right after work, and that works really well for me.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
So that's working well. Is there anything that you would want to share with me that maybe I can add in the mix to help you and support you throughout this process?
Not right now, but if something comes up, I will let you know.
Okay, great. right, so then let's go ahead and review the summary, the teapot summary. It was really nice to be able to do a morning class teapot on one date and then a PM class teapot on another date. And to me, a celebration is that because of your knowledge and your expertise in using Pyramid Plus and the trainings that you've taken over the years, you already know a great deal about the strategies and the
I think I've got a pretty good base.
skills. You do, and it showed during the next teapot, the second teapot I did. You were definitely implementing more of the skills during that class. So we will go ahead and look at that. Let's see, let me set this aside a second. One other thing I wanted to give to you just as another visual is just to remind us of the SMART goals. So that when we get to action planning or creating the goals in the action plan, then we have our SMART goals to help remind us what it is we want to, make sure that we have specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented or relevant and timely goals. Okay. Okay. This is the Fidelity Tool Summary for your PM class. So what I tried to do here is list all of the strengths, which you've just, you're just implementing beautifully in your classroom, and also capture some of the reflection items on your inventory of practices as they relate. And so while I only listed a few on the inventory of practices, there are many, but I don't want to overwhelm any teacher in this process. So, for the summary observations, these are all of the strengths, and these are all of the emerging skills. You're very, very strong in the area of strengths, already implemented. And then the emerging skills, I listed 2 of the inventory of practices next to those. Just ideas for you to consider. This process, being collaborative, gives you the opportunity to see what some of the skills you might want to implement from the teapot, but also to consider your own ideas from your reflection, the reflection that you did in the inventory of practices, to help you decide what you might want to work on as your first goal. Or goals, maybe you want to do 1, 2, 3 goals, depending on your comfort level. There was nothing to put in professional development needs. There just wasn't anything that scored that low on the teapot. So, if you turn to, are there any questions on that page?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. So, with that, let's go on to the second page here. And so these are some ideas for goals that I filled out.
Wonderful.
And since we're concentrating on the bottom level of the pyramid, then that's what these pertain to. And so we have interventions for children with persistent challenging behavior, which would be at a later date. We'll work on some of those at a later date.
Because that's one of those higher tiered
Right,
skills.
exactly. And so then we have connecting with families and supporting family use of pyramid model practices. So I'll let you take a look at those and read over those. So do any of those kind of jump out at you right now, something that you've been thinking about?
I've been thinking a lot about families. And I think it's because at our last training that we just did with Patty, that the first part of that training was about families. And I really do think that is someplace where I can use a lot of growth. And so what I think I'm doing now is I communicate with families through newsletters and say hellos and goodbyes, and that was kind of like my goal over the last couple of years, is always say a hello and goodbye to the parent who's dropping off, because I did a great job with that with the kids, but not so much the parents. So I kind of already developed that as a skill, but I still think where I'm lacking is really making parents feel welcome in the classroom, invitations, or knowing how to really get them involved with what we're doing in the classroom. That piece of sharing Pyramid Plus with them, and how to educate them on Pyramid Plus and what we're doing.
Okay.
And then the other thing I guess I was thinking a lot about is, because I have teacher conferences coming up really soon, that I find that when I'm sitting in teacher conferences that it tends to be about what I'm seeing their kid doing as strengths and what I feel like we need to do as goals. And then I ask them, is there anything that you have for goals? No, we're fine. So I don't know how to pull information out of them to really make them a partner. I feel like I'm sitting down and setting the precedent. So I think I need to learn like communication strategies, or even how do I go in without saying, okay, let me show you what your kid is doing with us now. I think I need to do some other totally different approach, and I'm not exactly sure where to start, because I really want to open it up to what is really important to you as a family, and how am I implementing that in what I'm doing, and how can I help you do some of these skills at home.
Okay.
You know?
Now, do you have family nights scheduled on a regular basis?
We have several teacher conferences at a regular basis, and then we have a couple family nights. So we could take advantage of any of those.
Okay.
So I think our first teacher conference is going to be too soon, because that's the first week in November, weekend in November. But I'm kind of thinking about some things there. But then the Thursday before Thanksgiving, we have a family night, and then we have another one in in December, but that's kind of more a big Christmas party where everyone's kind of everywhere. But if we could maybe get something going for that last family night, we might have time to get something going for that.
Are there any plans for your, you said the first parent-teacher conference is coming up November 1st?
It's the first weekend in
Or
November,
first week.
so I think it's like the 5th and 6th, something like that.
I wonder
Thursday, Friday.
if there is a way to maybe introduce what might be coming down the road if you wanted to do some activities with families on those family nights, or provide information or mini trainings. And maybe during the conference time, you could spend a few minutes just sharing a little bit of information, kind of setting the stage for that. Or maybe have a handout that will give some information about pyramid. Does that sound like something?
It does, yeah, especially if I have some setting the stage. I like that idea of setting the stage. And maybe even of what family nights are, because I also find that our family nights are hard to really, I guess, follow through with on the level that we want. And part of that's language barrier. And I've been trying to get creative, and my last attempt didn't work well, but maybe I need to try it again. You know, maybe it was just that one thing. But I tried to do a video. So the video would be instructing, so they'd see what I was doing, because I don't know how to translate myself,
Right.
what I'm doing.
So the video is in their language?
No, it's just me, but I was hoping that the visual of me modeling,
I see.
then I don't have to be there modeling for every family, so I can still go and greet people instead of being trapped. But I found that the kids watched the video, but then nobody did the activity. They watched, but then they didn't do.
And was the
activity
activity something
themselves.
for the home?
It was, well, what we try to do at our family nights, I know that some schools do it differently, but for us, it's all about setting up activities for the kids and the parents to do together.
Okay.
And so it really requires me to somehow communicate to the parents what they're supposed to be doing with their child there. And we'll have 3 or 4 different activities because there's too many people to all be in one activity. So I need to have a couple different places, but I can't be 4 places at once, showing them how to do the activity, you know? So I really have relied a lot on having the instructions there. But if they don't read, or if they don't read English.
So I'm wondering if you have any opportunities to get translators to those nights, or would you be able to have picture instructions, like, you know, like a recipe?
I haven't done the picture things. That might be something that I could try also this next time. I'm wanting to not give up on the video, so I might try a video thing somewhere, but I think a picture thing somewhere would be a good idea too. I was hoping that one time was maybe a fluke of, maybe it was too complicated or something.
Right. And so, and boy, it seems like it would be ideal too if you could have the video and just some pictures at each of the activities to, you know, like the hand washing picture. That someone can follow it with any language background. So, okay, so it sounds like you would like to really maybe start out with connecting with families through your parent-teacher conference, setting the stage, and then have some activities during the family nights.
I think that'd be great. I think that would be a great time to incorporate. We're really wanting to try to incorporate one pyramid model activity at every one of those family nights.
Okay.
It's kind of a basis of communication.
Okay.
A pyramid pod model and what that means, you know.
Okay. Now, when you look at this, and you know, in your mind, when you see this laid out throughout the year, is this something that might feel like it's enough for one goal at this time? Or are there any others that you see here or that you've even thought of that may not be on this page that you wanted to add on your professional development plan?
Let me think about that really quick.
Okay. Or even an extension to the connecting with families. Maybe 2 goals around connecting with families.
Yeah, I think I'll probably just end up doing multi-goals around connecting with families. I feel like I can work on trying to do something for the teacher conference and maybe something for the and really I think what I'm wanting to do is, what is it I'm really wanting to do? To show the